All right, so this is going to be sort of the uh, next 2 weeks or so, looking at the forecast and sort of looking at where things could stack up and get some decent snow. So, first of all, this is the geopotential height, which is pretty closely correlated to sort of storm systems. It's all about pressure and where pressure levels are in the atmosphere. So coming up, this is from a couple days ago, and we're about right here. This is early Friday morning, November 20th. So we're about, right here, night of the 19th. So looking ahead, the first real storm that's going to blow through here, it sort of forms right on the night of the 22nd. That's a Sunday. And then it forms and it continues to intensify. And it sort of takes this big swath right here. And let me get over to the continental U.S. so we can just focus in a little bit more. So this is it forming right here. And you can see it sort of intensifying as time goes on. And this is going to be a very, very large storm. Not large in terms of snowfall necessarily, but this is going to be very large in terms of like area it's covering. Most storms, you get a northern track and it's taking it through the Cascades and down into Colorado. It sort of misses California, and vice versa. You can get a track that sort of takes it from the south up through California and Colorado and the Tetons, but misses the Cascades. Instead, this one's sort of coming directly from the west and intensifying as it makes landfall, and it's sort of sweeping all the way across, even sort of getting down into Arizona and New Mexico here. But this is going to be a very, it just covers a lot of area. You get the Sierras here, you get the Cascades, Sawtooths, Tetons, Rockies, Wasatch, and potentially even some snowfall down into Arizona there. And then that's going to continue to sweep across, and the northeast could see just a tiny bit of precipitation, just sort of peripheral storm there, but sort of unlikely there. And then continuing to look through here, this could come down and drop a little bit of snow down on the Tetons, and think about like Northern Rockies and Colorado Rockies, but it's just barely going to get Colorado. And this storm is going to be in Colorado particularly favorable for resorts like Steamboat and areas up by Buffalo Pass and sort of northern in the state. The Tetons will do well with this storm. It sort of hits them at a really good angle to drop a lot of snow on Grand Targhee on the windward side of things. It's going to squeeze out a lot of that moisture through orographic lift. But the hot spots to be are sort of Big Sky, Bridger Bowl, Sun Valley, Schweitzer, lots of like northern resorts here. And again, it's going to get this storm's also going to get the Cascades pretty hard. You can see it sort of fades over time and loses strength as it moves down, sort of to the southeast, and gets into Colorado and Wyoming and places. But it's going to hit pretty hard on in the Cascades here. But miss pretty much everything down in the west. It's going to miss Utah, California. It's going to miss southern Colorado. And so this storm will come through right before Thanksgiving. So this will sort of be a Thanksgiving powder day. So morning of the 25th and moving into the 26th here. Sort of a little bit of snow for these northern resorts. Continuing to look forward, we have a period of very, very long stable conditions, dry conditions. But that soon gets moved out, and we get this big front coming in. And this is going to be a big storm. This is a very strong storm coming in, making landfall. And this is going to be a very, very favorable storm. And this storm has an interesting track where it's sort of going to take it to the south. And you'll see here in this animation, so it's going to hit pretty hard on the Sierra, but the Sierra actually going to force that storm pretty far south. So this storm is going to come down almost all the way to the American border here, the U.S.-Mexican border. This storm is going to directly hit, Arizona, New Mexico, Taos could get a decent amount of snow, Arizona Snow Bowl, and then it moves sort of up to the north here. But in this, probably from here to here, we could see some very decent snowfall totals in the southern Colorado region. So think San Juan's, Wolf Creek, Telluride, resorts down there could do very well with this storm. And then that sort of just moves through and dissipates. And now we're already well into December here, first week of December, and nothing really, this storm sort of still fizzling down in the south here. So you could still see some lingering snowfall for a few days after the main system moves out there. But let's take a look at the Pacific and see So in this same time frame, so here's that storm we were just talking about, sort of taking this southern track here down through southern Colorado and Arizona, New Mexico. And we see, so that's December 2nd, that storm starts to break apart, that lingering snowfall sort of hanging around down there. But we can see this monster of a storm coming in here. This could potentially do very, very well. Depending on the winds, sort of, it's too early to tell. This is over 2 weeks out. Too early to tell where the storm will go. But this could be a very productive storm. If it's a sort of a northern track that falls along the coast here, slams in the Cascades and then drops down to Colorado and up to the east. That's a pretty typical storm pattern for this time of year. Or things could go south very quickly, and it could, not literally, going bad, but like literally going south. Go south down towards the Sierra and sort of take more of a southerly track down through the mountains here, which would be a very productive storm for any coastal mountain range here. The coastal range in BC and Alaska, and Cascades in Washington, and Sierra in California. So this is something to keep our eyes on. We don't necessarily know if it's going to form or not, but we have a pretty good idea that there could be something forming in this range. A pretty productive storm. So now let's look at sort of specific snow totals for these storms. So this is tonight, November 19th. So there's some sporadic leftovers from this most recent storm. And some snow in Colorado, but not significant. Then this is when that next storm sort of hits, and you can see it hit from west to east. So watch the Cascades here. Snowfall totals pile up there, and then things are sort of moving down through Idaho, right? Hits the Tetons there, so the Tetons are going to get some snow. Then down into Colorado, and then you sort of have the second front that's going to move over, like I said, and just barely miss the east. The east, like I said, could get some peripheral precipitation, but not a lot. So let's look at snow totals for that storm. So sort of this is right up before Thanksgiving. So I'm just gonna we'll start with the Pacific Northwest. So the storm sort of right before Thanksgiving. The northern track is going to be a lot more favorable than the southern track here. So you could be seeing potentially up to a foot or two of snow up in the northern Cascades. A little bit less down in the southern Cascades in Oregon here. A little bit less than a foot. The Olympics could get a little bit of snow, but not super significant totals. So sort of the place to be if you're thinking about skiing. Mount Baker will do really well with this storm. Crystal Mountain could do okay, sort of in this middle range here. Seeing sporadic pockets of 7-8 inches. And obviously any mountain with a lot of prominence like Mount Hood, Mount Rainier is obviously going to get a lot of snow there. Then something else to keep your eyes on here is sort of Schweitzer area in northern Idaho. All of this area in here. It looks like it's only going to get about a half a foot, but these storms often tend to drop a lot of wind with them, which really, really loads those eastern slopes, right? It's slamming all the snow off the windward side and blowing it all the leeward side. So you could actually see up to probably 2 feet of accumulation on northeast aspects, east aspects from this storm. And then the Tetons are not going to get much, 4 inches, definitely a little boost for them, but nothing too significant. And then that storm sort of leads us, or let me go over, other snowfall totals here for that storm. California will unfortunately not get hit by that storm at all. Like I said, it's sort of a northerly track, so you only have the very, very, very northernmost parts of California really receiving any snow, and this is negligible amounts of snow. Shasta could see a little bit of snow, but sort of unlikely. So California is staying really dry over the next week or so. But if we look at Colorado, Colorado will do okay off of the storm. So this is that sort of peripheral storm left over. We move through, the 24th, and these are some snow totals we can be expecting. So, the San Juans are going to get hit the hardest. So think Telluride, Wolf Creek. Wolf Creek has had a great season so far, and the snow is only going to boost them even further. So this could be pretty good. Half a foot of snow here, half a foot up by Steamboat, Buffalo Pass area, and then, Central Mountains and the Front Range, Aspen, Vail, these sorts of areas will only probably get 3 or 4 inches. So nothing too crazy in terms of snow totals for those. So zooming back out to the continental U.S., let's look at this next system that comes in right after. So that storm on the 24th, watch up here. And that storm from the 24th really leads directly into this storm on the 26th. So you can see there, the snow really doesn't really stop up there. And then this 26th storm really kicks in. Let me turn on the 24-hour snow accumulation. So going to the, this is after the 24, the storm on the 24th, and then this is moving into that storm on the 26th. So this is going to hit the Cascades pretty early, then sort of fizzle out on the Cascades pretty early within probably about a day or so. So you'll have a day of very, very heavy snowfall, but things will continue moving. So that storm's going to be very productive for the Cascades. You could see a little bit of snow around the Tetons. Again, northern Idaho and Montana could do very well with that storm. Like I said earlier, it's going to be a very northern storm. Like I said, from the Geopotential Height model. So let's take a look at sort of how much snow could be accumulating here. So this is going after the 25th, moving into that storm on the 26th. And you could see in the Cascades, if I zoom in here to the northwest, you can see in the Cascades, just sort of subtract those mild snow totals, and you can see things are really stacking up here in the Northern Cascades. This is the place to be, is the Northern Cascades right now. 43 inches from now until November 27th. And you just have to subtract 14 or so from that last storm, and you're still getting 30 inches of snow through this system. And this is a much more widespread storm. It's still going to be favoring the north, but you're getting places in eastern Oregon here. Again, a lot of snow in northern Idaho and Montana, and then again it sort of hits the Tetons here. Not as much snow in Colorado. So moving into sort of the 26th here, you're really only getting probably another 3 or 4 inches on top of what you had on that last one. So in the next week or so, Colorado could probably see about 6 inches, maybe a little bit more than a week, 8 days from now. And then finally moving into that final really, really weird storm that tracks pretty far south. That sort of starts right around the end of November, and you could see it hit California right there. So let's move into California here. And seeing right here, it's a very southerly, skipping forward to the end of November, it hits fast and it hits hard. So this is sort of starting on, late November 30th. So moving into the final day of November and then the first day of December, and snow totals balloon up extremely quickly. This is going to be a crazy, crazy fast storm if it does materialize. From this is 3, 6, 9 hours, you could be seeing 19, 20 inches of accumulation down in the southern Sierra. So like I said earlier, this is going to be a southern track. So this is going to take it south. So resorts further south along the Sierra are going to do better than resorts in Tahoe. This is up north, and these are only 2.8 inches. But moving south, you have like 21 down by sort of Mammoth area. So let's see how this does by the end of the storm. So very southern Sierra, you could be seeing storm totals similar to what the Cascades are projected to get. So sort of moving into that 45, 50 range. Whereas resorts in Tahoe are going to get a dusting. It's going to be less than 5 inches. So this is where you can really see the difference between the storm track and how big of a difference that makes. So because it's such a southern storm, it's sort of coming like this, and then curling up. But that's why it's favoring these southern mountains. And same goes for areas in Colorado, right? So you can see northern Colorado is going to get down here you have 22 inches of snow accumulation. Up here you have trace amounts 1.6, 5.8. So this is a very southern storm. So like I said earlier, the San Juans, sort of Telluride, Wolf Creek are going to do well with this storm, sort of a southern track. Aspen area, 10 inches in this storm. This could do pretty well. But the really interesting thing about the storm is sort of the totals that we're seeing in projected in Arizona and New Mexico here. So resorts in like Taos could get 14 inches. Arizona, 16 inches right along the border here. So this is a very interesting storm. It takes it really, really far south. So that's sort of the main roundup here. I'll give you a sort of big picture map here of sort of the snow. So, we can see some hot spots around the Cascades. So this is through December 5th, 2020. So sort of the Cascades, you're getting into the 50s there. Southern Sierra are going to do really well. So think Mammoth, Big, Bear Mountain, maybe even south into the San Bernardinos here. And then, northern Idaho and Montana, like I was talking about. Tetons could do okay over the next couple weeks, but southern Colorado. So I'd say biggest snowfall totals are definitely going to be in the Cascades here. And then I'd say probably sort of a tie between northern Idaho and Montana and the Sierra, and then following closely behind is these southern Rockies here in the San Juan range. So Telluride, Wolf Creek could do really, really well with this storm. And then once again, don't forget about this low pressure or low altitude of pressure, I should say. This could bring a pretty decent storm to the west coast here. So keep your eye on that. Obviously, these are sort of preliminary, predictions for the rest of November. Nothing's set in stone. Forecasts aren't super accurate this far out, but I'm trying to sort of give a idea of sort of how things are going to line up over the next couple weeks. So we should be seeing pretty good productive storms along the west and even reaching into the interior here. Utah doesn't get hit very hard, only a couple inches in the next couple weeks. So they had a strong start, but it looks like that's starting to fizzle out. Sort of more typical northern tracks coming sort of around the Wasatch and coming into Colorado. And, we have this interesting southern track here that comes into Colorado as well. So that's a sort of very basic overview of what the next couple weeks could look like in terms of snowfall. So